Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 253. Without any delay, start explanation. For a moment, the senior colonel was caught off guard upon receiving his blood god bracelet. He then raised his head abruptly and looked toward Tang Wulin. "Are you from the Blood God Battalion?" Tang Wulin nodded and spoke, "Reporting for duty, sir." "The Blood God Battalion supernumerary personnel, Tang Wulin." The senior colonel was stunned for a moment. Later, he examined Tang Wulin's Blood God bracelet. "Your Blood God bracelet's merit points are divided into two parts, with the latter being battle merit points. Let me take a look. You've only participated in this campaign for a day, so the merit points are accumulated from this very day. Your merit points are 16,800. His voice went a few pitches higher. Then, he calculated for a moment before he spoke. "In addition to the double points awarded for close combat, your total merit points gained are 21,400. Tang Wulin's eyes glowed brightly at once. Over 20,000 merit points? These points were not forging merit points but battle merit points. His merit points were so high because he was holding out in front earlier, and there were quite a number of powerful abyssal creatures such as Baans which died under his golden dragon spear. His merit points were doubled until it had reached over 10,000 points despite being absent in the later part of the battle. At the same time, he was also rewarded additional merit points for defeating the Black Empress. Different abyssal powerhouses carried different merit points accordingly. One would be awarded different merit points if one could sustain a battle for a certain amount of time with the abyssal creatures of Momai's and Black Empress levels. "You've joined the Blood God Battalion?" Long Yushue, who was preparing to receive an honor for her merits, came running over hurriedly. She grabbed Tang Wulin's hand and looked with intense admiration at his Blood God bracelet adorned with a thorned rose. Everyone in the Blood God army was well aware that the main force that truly guarded the abyssal passage was the 9 Blood Gods from the Blood God Battalion. One would be immediately promoted to Major General as soon as one became an official Blood God. Although it signified that the person would always remain here, it was a great honor to be able to become a Blood God. Also, it would be placed on record by the Federation, so it would indeed be a noble honor for one's family. Consequently, 3 generations of the Blood God's descendants would be bestowed with many privileges in the Federation. The Blood God would be given privileges which are no less inferior to that of a federal assemblyman and could cast a supernumerary ballot in all the council sessions. They were the true guardians of the Federation who gained the respect and admiration of everyone. Tang Wulin answered naturally, "Only a supernumerary personnel." Long Yushue's expression immediately turned peculiar. Of course, there were more than just 9 Blood Gods in the Blood God Battalion, for a few outstanding Blood God army's members could possibly become its supernumerary personnel or reserved Blood Gods. It proved that Tang Wulin had taken the first step on the path. She had already figured out the factor that contributed to Tang Wulin's ability to become a Blood God Battalion's supernumerary member was related to the miraculous Golden Dragon Spear. Even so, it was still a great honor to be able to join the Blood God Battalion. Moreover, how many days had it been since he enlisted at the Blood God army? He had yet to pass his first month here. How could he not be a subject of envy for Long Yushue, who had spent all her life in the Blood God army? She was even feeling a little jealous of him. Tang Wulin no longer belonged to any of the Blood God army's departments once he joined the Blood God Battalion, although he was still under the direct supervision of the Blood God army. It meant that she could not make him do anything for her despite being his direct commanding officer. Long Yushue could not help recalling her father's words that Tang Wulin came from Shrek Academy and was the leader of the current Shrek 7 monsters. A piece of gold would shine no matter where it is, so the same applied to him in the Blood God army where powerhouses were abundant. In less than a month, he had already begun to prove himself. At least, the soldiers from the 1st Iron Blood Battalion and 2nd Blood Battalion under the Blood Division were aware of such a person who is capable of unleashing the domain ability and amplifying their overall fighting capacities on a large scale. On that day itself, they killed and injured more enemies in close combat because of Tang Wulin's Golden Dragon Rage domain. On the other hand, their casualties were much reduced. The 1st and 2nd Battalion had an extremely good impression of Tang Wulin, such that even Jiang Wuyue could not stop praising him and acknowledging Tang Wulin as his brother. Such was the situation within a month. What if he was here for a year, 2 years, or even longer? He would become one of the 9 great blood gods sooner or later. Tang Wulin reminded Long Yuxue as he watched her court in a daze. You should go ahead to receive your merits. Oh. Long Yuxue suddenly woke up to reality. However, her excitement in being promoted to lieutenant colonel earlier had dissipated by half at present. Tang Wulin was curious too regarding his military rank promotion. What rank would he be promoted to with his merit points? The merit points accumulated by Long Yuxue added to this battle should not exceed 20,000 points. So, she could be promoted from a major to a lieutenant colonel. However, his merit points exceeded 20,000, could he be promoted to a rank higher? Tang Wulin watched as Long Yuxue's military rank went from 2 lines with a star to 2 lines with 2 stars. With excitement, he stepped forward. We can't confer the Blood God Battalion over here. Your conferring shall be determined by the Blood God Battalion. You can leave now. With that, the officer in charge left him disappointed. He was already a direct officer of the Blood God Battalion after becoming one of its members. The army could not even confer his military rank anymore. Tang Wulin looked toward Long Yuxue as if he was pleading for help. Long Yuxue smiled bitterly and spoke, "It's the rule. I can't help you either. Furthermore, don't address me as anymore in the future. The Blood God Battalion status in the army is unique and exclusive. You're not someone we can compare with even if you're just a supernumerary personnel now. This means that you'll have to put in more effort than any one of us in the future. You should address me by my name. You can check it out for yourself from the Blood God Battalion. As a Blood God Battalion supernumerary personnel, you're not restricted by most rules." I see. All right then. Long Yuxue gazed after the departing Tang Wulin as her gaze turned even more complex now. She wondered when her turn would be to become the Blood God Battalion supernumerary personnel. Tang Wulin arrived at the Blood God Battalion station and entered the elevator successfully by using the Rose Blood God bracelet. He had been to the hall before. However, he felt confused upon arriving at the place as there was no one inside. Moreover, he had no idea whether he should look for the other people in the Blood God Battalion. What should he do? He should wait then. Tang Wulin took a seat right in the middle of the rotunda. He could only wait since a blood god might turn up any time. Tang Wulin lost count of the time. He awoke from his meditation when he sensed a touch in his spiritual world. Are you new? Why are you meditating here? A youth dressed in military uniform with a general's star pinned to his shoulder looked at Tang Wulin curiously. The youth appeared to be about 20 years old. He had a handsome, smiling face that made him appear kind and friendly. However, Tang Wulin could tell that he was one of the 9 great blood gods by looking at the military rank pinned to his shoulder. The blood gods were all soldiers with at least a major general's rank. Tang Wulin immediately stood upright and gave him a military salute. Hello, sir. At ease? What's going on with you? Tang Wulin answered, I'm Tang Wulin, supernumerary personnel. I've just joined the Blood God Battalion, and I wish to see Chief Blood One to inquire about what I should do next. I see. You can use your Blood God bracelet to call any one of us directly. Let me show you. By the way, I'm Blood 9. Blood 9? The person before him was Blood 9 whom he did not meet the other day. Tang Wulin already knew that Blood 3 and Blood 5 from the Blood God Battalion originated from Shrek Academy. Blood 1 and Blood 6 were from the Tang sect, while Blood 2, Blood 8, and Blood 9 were from the War God Hall, and lastly, Blood 4 and Blood 7 who were from the Spirit Pagoda. There were only 3 out of 9 who came from the War God Hall, which had the most number of people here out of the 4 great organizations. However, Blood 1 was the Hall Master of today's Tang Sect Law Hall. He could be regarded as Tang Sect Master, so overall, the highest power still belonged to the Tang Sect. Thank you, sir. Tang Wulin now understood the difference between his Rose Blood God bracelet and the ordinary Blood God bracelet. There was a special communication system built into it which could be used to get in touch with the 9 great blood gods. Through the system, the 9 great blood gods could get in touch with him as well. As a supernumerary personnel, he could not get in touch with the 9 great blood gods directly, but he could leave them a message and wait for their response. Tang Wulin hastily left Blood 1 a message, as advised by Blood 9, to inquire about what he should do. He was quite surprised to find Blood 1 replying soon after. Your location shows that you're in the Blood God Battalion. Wait for me there. Big Brother told you to wait for him here? Very well then. I want to meet him too, Blood 9 spoke smilingly. Thank you, sir, Tang Wulin spoke from the depth of his heart as Blood 9 appeared to be an extremely kind and friendly person. Blood 9 spoke with a smile on his face. I've heard from the rest that you're from Shrek Academy. What a waste that Shrek is gone. You don't know this, but when Blood 3 and Blood 5 heard the news, they almost couldn't refrain from leaving the mountain to return to Shrek City. It was Blood 1 who deterred them, so they stayed. Although it had been a long time since the event, Tang Wulin still could not help feeling gloomy each time someone mentioned it. His lips cracked into a bitter smile. The academy is destroyed and we don't even know where the enemy is nor how many people took part in the plan. However, we will rebuild Shrek no matter what. Shrek's glory won't cease in our generation's hands. You better put in more effort. I can only provide you with spiritual support as one of the blood gods. After all, we can't leave this place. Blood 9 patted Tang Wulin's shoulder. He was about the same age as Tang Wulin apparently. Meanwhile, the door of the elevator opened and Blood 1 walked out. Tang Wulin was stunned for a moment upon seeing Blood 1. As compared to the day he met him, this heartless Doluor now exuded a murderous aura instead. Tang Wulin was especially sensitive toward other people's auras due to his strong bloodline power. The aura emitted from the person before him made Tang Wulin's bloodline fluctuate violently. Blood 9 raised his brows ever so slightly as he smiled and spoke, Big Brother, did you just go over there again? Blood 1 nodded. They retreated so soon that I'll need to go check on it again to prevent unwanted troubles. They withdrew into a passive defense this time real quick, so I'm not tired. After a few battles, I can see that they were not scheming, it was more like they were petrified. Blood 9 was stunned for a moment. Who were they petrified of? Blood 1's lips cracked into a faint smile as he pointed to Tang Wulin by his side. Blood 9 looked toward Tang Wulin in astonishment. By him? That can't be. Blood 1 smiled and spoke, I'll elaborate more on that in a while. Wulin, I've already made arrangements for you. I'll be assigning a mission for you next. Yes. Tang Wulin became inspired at once. He was feeling eager and anxious to go. Blood 1 announced, I'll explain to you in a moment. You must make preparations for battle and adapt yourself. Yes. Blood 9 spoke in bewilderment, the tide has ended. What mission will that be? Blood 1 smiled. Have you forgotten about the Federation's latest technology? Blood 9 was immediately enlightened. So you wish to send him to participate? It's safest for him to participate on our side without worrying about revealing anything accidentally. Wulin, head back first. I'll be contacting you via the Blood God bracelet later. Our side here needs you to make some preliminary preparations for your mission which will commence in 3 days. Yes. Tang Wulin did not leave immediately. He looked toward Blood 1 with slight anticipation. He spoke, Sir, I went over to the combat unit to exchange my merit points earlier. They said that I need to elevate my military rank in our Blood God battalion. Can you please? Blood 1 was the heartless Doluor Kaudashi, so he was considered as one of Tang Wulin's people. Tang Wulin did not hesitate to act or speak boldly. Blood 1 smiled and spoke, How many merit points are there? Tang Wulin answered, Over 20,000 points. Blood 1 was stunned, but he could not help smiling and said, Impressive. You've managed to gain over 20,000 merit points in just one battle. It seems like you've truly devoured a lot of abyssal energy this time. No wonder you startled those old creatures. I suspect they were back to determine your status, and that's why the abyssal tide ended so soon. 20,000 over merit points should be enough to promote you to a captain. However, there's no rush in this. Here's an idea. If you complete this upcoming mission successfully, I'll immediately approve your promotion to a major. You can have a double promotion then. Tang Wulin's eyes widened at once. Was that even allowed? It was already a surprise for him to be promoted to a captain. If he were promoted to a major, would that not mean that he could visit Gu Yuana at least once a week then? It would be truly remarkable. Yes, sir. I'll head back to make preparations. Tang Wulin left. Blood 9 looked toward Blood 1 as Blood 1's expression turned solemn. What happened, big brother? Blood 9 asked in puzzlement. Blood 1 spoke in a deep voice. Tang Wulin's appearance may be an opportune moment for us possibly. However, it may also end up as a catastrophe. I can't make a complete assessment of the situation yet. He revealed himself too soon. I've already spoken to the regimental commander that we should consolidate our defense line. The abyssal tide lasted only a short while this time, but I'm worried that the next wave will come sooner. In the Spirit Pagoda's headquarters. The latest technology developed by the Federation will be officially launched soon. Not only are we taking part this time, but we'll also need to get ourselves a good ranking, said Qiangu Dongfeng in a deep voice as he sat on the main seat. The person sitting on his right was the Heavenly Phoenix Dolor while a middle-aged man sat on his other side. Almost everyone in the scene was a high-ranking official of the Spirit Pagoda. The latest technology developed by the Federation is a technology that's beyond its time. It's still in the test phase despite its engineering methodologies which have matured since earlier. Shrek Academy and the Tang sect's headquarters were destroyed and caused great turmoil on the continent. As a result, the Federation has released this latest technology in time for everyone to participate, and it's also a tactic to divert the public's attention. Yaoshu, how are the contestants on your side? Have you found that disciple of yours, yet? The Heavenly Phoenix Dolor and Yaoshu spoke indifferently. I've already selected the participants on my side. I've also contacted my disciple. She's very good, and she's going to take part. Qiangu Dongfeng nodded satisfactorily. We're not going to tolerate any mistakes in this matter because it's going to further enhance our influence. We've managed to take a quarter of the seats in the new parliament. So, if we can assert our influence a step further through this competition, it will be extremely helpful to our Spirit Pagoda's next development plan. Leng Yaozhu darted him a look, but she did not speak. As the Vice Pagoda Master of the Spirit Pagoda, she knew Qiangu Dongfeng far too long and too well. No one else knew, but how could she not know his objective? He was an ambitious man. His goal was to make the Spirit Pagoda be the ancient martial soul hall of 20,000 years ago. With the organization's strength to domineer over the entire Federation, he would be in control of it. Although she had yet to gather any evidence, she believed that the incident that happened to Shrek Academy was his doing. The Federation's latest technology? What does that mean? Each big city has its own entries and each big city's Spirit Pagoda is allowed to take part. It's said that the technology is similar to the Spirit Pagoda's Spirit Ascension platform but somewhat different. The latest technology covers the whole continent such that all Soul Masters who wish to take part can do so. It'll scan and simulate each Soul Master's abilities and physical condition to ensure it's fair. This technology will be extremely helpful in elevating a Soul Master's actual combat abilities, especially a Mecha Master. That's right. Similar devices are owned by the big organizations in the past and those devices aren't even perfect such that the systems aren't linked to one another. This time, it'll be different. It'll be launched by the Federation, so all the systems will be unified. The Federation has organized this competition and set lucrative rewards to attract as many Soul Masters as possible to take part and promote this advanced technology. It's said that the army has already used it and its effects are impressive. That's great if it's true. What are you waiting for? Let's sign up. It's free anyway. It'll be good for our experience. Are there any restrictions? Nope. It said that any Soul Master below the title Dolor rank is allowed to take part. There's no other restriction. Oh right, you must be below a 3-word Battle Armor Master because the system is incapable of withstanding a 3-word Battle Armor Master's fighting. The main problem is that the external facility is not strong enough. A 3-word Battle Armor Master's leaked energies during a battle can damage the system even if his or her physical condition has been scanned earlier. Thus, as long as one isn't a 3-word Battle Armor Master or does not deploy a 3-word Battle Armor and is below the title Dolor rank, one is then allowed to take part. Just purely one-on-one? Is there anything like a team battle? Not yet. The competition this time is divided into 2 parts, Mecha Battle and Soul Master Battle. These are all individual matches. This is a competition for the entire Federation, so the competition will be carried out according to the zone division, followed by the finals. It said that any Soul Master capable of entering the finals will be rewarded generously. Those who are ranked the first 16 will receive lucrative rewards. The finals champion will receive all the resources necessary to forge a red mecha or some heavily refined metal for a set of 4-word battle armor. This is simply unbelievable. Stardow Battle Network. Tang Wulin could not help appearing astonished as he looked at the information sent by Blood One. It was the latest technology developed by the Federation. One could enter the Stardow Battle Network to take part in simulated battles through a peripheral device known as the Stardow Cabin. The simulated environment seemed similar to the Spirit Pagoda's Spirit Ascension platform, but there was no restriction on the number of people participating as with the Spirit Ascension platform. However, it did not have the Spirit Ascension effect, so it did not clash with the Spirit Pagoda's objective. The biggest advantage of this technology was that it allowed all Soul Masters and Mecha Masters to battle and compete against one another on the same platform. The entire battle network had just been developed recently and it is said that it would be upgraded frequently in the future. Blood One assigned Tang Wulin the mission to participate in the battle network competition this time. His mission was to be one of the top 3 finalists. Tang Wulin's lips twitched once. Initially, he thought that he would be able to complete the mission even if it was a difficult one. Yet, his confidence dropped as he learned more about the Stardow Battle Network. The restriction was that one must be below the title Dolor rank. In other words, all 8-ring, Soul Dolor rank powerhouses were allowed to participate too. Also, one must be below a 3-word Battle Armor Master. However, there was no lack of Soul Dolor and Soul Sage powerhouses with 2-word battle armors. They could even rival the Hyper Duluos with their accumulated powers. It would be a great battle of the entire continent. Tang Wulin did not have absolute confidence that he was invincible to those below the title Dolor rank despite his natural endowments. The reason which motivated Blood One to engage Tang Wulin in the battle network was very simple. He wished to elevate Tang Wulin's combat abilities by making Tang Wulin confront different powerhouses constantly to forge a stronger character. Tang Wulin would readily agree but felt the goal was set a little too high. In any case, Tang Wulin had the confidence to be one of the 64 finalists. Final 3, he would give it his best shot. The lack of confidence did not mean that he lost the will to fight as he had always been the person whose courage mounted as the battle progressed. The Stardow cabin had already been moved to his living quarters. Tang Wulin was not staying in his previous quarters anymore but the dormitory at the Blood God Battalion. The Blood God Battalion's supernumerary personnel lived on a level above the rotunda. His living conditions had not improved much as his quarters were only equipped with the basic amenities except that the room was slightly larger. However, the room was now occupied with the Stardow cabin. The object occupied 8 square meters of floor space. It looked like a larger version of a coffin but with a complicated setup. It should be quite costly to build. The army did not accept appointments for the use of the Stardow cabin. So, whoever wanted to use it had to queue up for it. Every day the cabin was crowded with a long queue of people waiting to use it. Hence, Long Yushua had never brought Tang Wulin to the cabin before. Tang Wulin was excited when he saw a Stardow cabin of his own in his living quarters. A Stardow cabin for his exclusive use on the very day this latest piece of technology was launched. It was definitely a luxury. The sign-up process had already begun, so he should try it out then. The division competition would commence 2 days later, so he would need to register before the division competition began. Later, he could familiarize himself with the simulated world. Tang Wulin pressed a button to turn on the Star-Do cabin. He then got into the cabin. The internal structure of the cabin was exceedingly complicated. At least, it was much more complicated than the Spirit Ascension platform he was in before. Tang Wulin did not feel suffocated or claustrophobic when the cabin door closed. All kinds of metal wires were hitched and stuck on his body. One after another, the metal hoops tightened and locked onto his body. It was meant to prevent the energy leaking when he was engaged in the Star-Do Battle Network's battles. The whole process took about 5 minutes before all the docking was completed. Tang Wulin felt as if he was an experimental subject. His vision was pitch black. Meanwhile, an electronic voice was heard saying, "Star-Do cabin's preparation is completed. Access to Star-Do Battle Network. Allow or deny?" The electronic voice sounded unpleasant and mechanical to the ears. Tang Wulin answered, "Allow." His entire body shook once as he felt intense current radiating through his entire body. It felt like his entire person was electrocuted. No wonder ordinary people were not allowed to use the Star-Do cabin. Just the process of being scanned with soul energy would result in irreversible damage to an ordinary person without adequate physical quality. In his heart, he was complaining, but he felt dizzy in the next moment. The darkness before his eyes had already turned bright and clear when he regained consciousness once again. He did not feel like he had entered another world as he did in the Spirit Ascension platform before. All sorts of data began to appear before his eyes. The body scan is complete. Access to Star-Do Battle Network is successful. Please state your purpose and the Battle Network will process accordingly. I would like to sign up for the Federal Star-Do Battle Network Challenge. It doesn't feel like it's that high-tech a product anyway. Tang Wulin thought to himself. Sure. Begin the process of registration immediately. What is your name? Tang Wulin hesitated for a moment before he gave his real name. Blood One had reminded him that the reason he was sent to the Blood God Army was to ensure that he need not worry about revealing his identity. He was absolutely safe here and that no one would come for him. Apart from the Blood God Army itself and the Federation's high-ranking officials, no one knew the Blood God Army's exact location and also the Blood God Army's remote status. The most powerful part of the Star-Do Battle Network was its tight security. The internal information was stored in the Battle Network's control center only. All human soul masters participating in the Battle Network would follow a ranking system. The ranking could only be elevated after the outcome of a battle. However, no one was allowed to access or investigate the participants' information at will. Even the federal parliament was not given access unless approved by the entire committee. This prevented those people with ulterior motives from using the Battle Network to investigate others. The system asked a series of questions in order to register Tang Wulin. You can choose a nickname for yourself. Your nickname will be displayed during the competition. Tang Wulin considered for a moment before he spoke. Golden Dragon King, okay. Golden Dragon King, okay. Please confirm. Tang Wulin was speechless. Golden Dragon King. Golden Dragon King? Please confirm. Confirm. I'm sorry. The nickname you chose is already taken, the electronic voice was heard once again. If Tang Wulin could see his own face now, he would see frustration written all over his face at present. What was happening? Please choose a new nickname. Little Tang. Tang Wulin simply made up a name. Little Tang? Please confirm. Confirm. Nickname is successfully created. Tang Wulin, nicknamed Little Tang, soul power rank 50. Special physical quality suspected to be dragon-type bloodline. Physical strength exceeds conventional standards. Determined to be gifted as a natural endowment-type soul master. Admission registration is completed. Please state your choice in participating in the Federal Star-Do Challenge. Yes, said Tang Wulin. He felt shocked in his heart. After being frustrated over the process of choosing a nickname for himself, he discovered something odd. There was something different as compared to his earlier experiences when he was at the Spirit Pagoda's Spirit Ascension platform or even the other simulated worlds. It was the lack of interaction. However, at present, the electronic voice was interacting with him. It was like the entire Star-Do battle network was communicating with him. What does this mean? Tang Wulin finally understood the advanced technology that was beyond its time. It was not the simulation system but its use of artificial intelligence. The Federation's technology was already so advanced that they used artificial intelligence in its simulation system now. Although the system appeared to be rather crude and could be considered low-end even when compared to the Spirit Ascension platform, its standards far exceeded the Spirit Ascension platform after artificial intelligence was built into the system. It was not that difficult to set up and upgrade the internal system, but the artificial intelligence installed was something new and innovative. The electronic voice that sounded mechanical ought to be the beta version of artificial intelligence. It was also mankind's first experience in using artificial intelligence, so it was meaningful indeed. The competition this time was not so much about Soul Masters experiencing a brand new technology but testing the application of artificial intelligence in the Soul Masters battles. With the gradual improvement of artificial intelligence, it would lead to a quantum leap from mankind's technology. Although Tang Wulin did not have a good impression of the Federation, he had to admit that the Federation's scientists were outstanding. He was not too familiar with artificial intelligence, but he understood the immense changes it would bring for mankind when artificial intelligence was widely used in the various fields. Shadows flashed once and the scene before his eyes began to change. Tang Wulin discovered that he was on a street. At the same time, a voice was heard, "You have entered the West Division. Please go to the West Division competition area following the guide provided. At the same time, choose your competition mode, Soul Master Battle or Mecha Battle." An arrow shimmering with a faint white radiance appeared before Tang Wulin's face. He followed the arrow and walked forward quickly until he saw a building as large and grand as a stadium. Just like him, many people were heading to the building. Apparently, it could not rival the Spirit Ascension platform's hyperrealistic scene. There was still much room for improvement in this system. However, considering that artificial intelligence was actually being used here, the other features did not matter as much. Tang Wulin followed the stream of people and entered the West Division competition area. Shadows flashed past Tang Wulin's face once again and something similar to a screen appeared. Please choose your competition mode. Tang Wulin chose both Soul Master Battle and Mecha Battle without the slightest hesitation. An instruction manual then appeared on the screen. At the top of the instruction manual were displayed two big words, "Registration successful." It signified that he had already completed the registration. Following that were the rules and regulations for Mecha Battle and Soul Master Battle. Due to the large number of contestants, the entire Federation was separated into 8 divisions. The division was set according to the location of the Star-Do cabin. Tang Wulin was in the Endless Mountains, so naturally, he belonged to the West Division. The annotation stated that there were only 2 options. For the contesting mecha in the Mecha Battle, they were either close combat or long range. The Mecha Battle focused mainly on the mecha operating skills, and the contestant was allowed to experience the standard mecha model used in the competition beforehand. However, the contestant was not allowed to use any customized mecha. It was a troublesome issue for many mecha masters as they were only familiar with their own mechas. One's fighting capacity would certainly be compromised on a large scale when using a mecha that one was unfamiliar with. However, Tang Wulin felt it comprehensible considering the fact that it was still a beta version. After all, if everyone brought their own mechas, how vast would the data stream need to be in order to complete such a task? Moreover, a mecha master ought to compete based on their skills in Tang Wulin's perception. Although the mechas were standard models, a Soul Master's abilities could still complement the mecha. It was generally fairer to engage in such a mecha battle. A Soul Master battle was even simpler. It was a direct competition, a battle executed on the competition stage. The 2 types of competitions would be carried out in divisions with the top 32 finalists from the division competitions proceeding to the finals. The competition qualifying system would be determined according to the number of contestants from each division. Overall, it was a combination of an elimination tournament and a round-robin tournament. The elimination tournament would be the basis for the competition. The rule was simple as there was no restriction on destroying one's opponent within the Star-Do battle network. One was allowed to utilize one's most powerful skills to defeat one's opponent in order to advance in the rankings. It was that simple. However, a competition with a simple qualifying system would result in ruthless competition. The elimination tournament signified that if one was not so fortunate and had to confront a powerhouse at the beginning of the competition, then that would be the end of one's journey in the competition. Tang Wulin associated this with his heaven-defying luck when he was once in a competition on Star Luo continent. His lips could not help twitching upon recalling the experience. He hoped that his luck would be better in the Star-Do battle network. He felt it would be difficult for him to become one of the 3 finalists nonetheless. Powers below the title Doluo rank and battle armor's boundary below a 3-word battle armor. I should give it my best shot then. I wonder if any of my companions are joining this battle network competition as well. It was appropriate that the artificial intelligence system was built to keep their identities a secret. At least, they would not be drawing attention during the early phase. What a waste it was that there were no pairs or teams in the competition. Otherwise, he would be more confident of winning. Of course, he was only giving it a thought, for he was not with his comrades at the moment. They would not be able to join even if such competitions were held. Tang Wulin waved his hand once to turn off the screen when he was done reading. Then, he strolled around the stadium to check out the condition of the competition area and to familiarize himself with the surroundings. The setup of the stadium was not complicated and it appeared to be rather beautiful. There were a few spots worthy of his attention. The stadium was divided into a Mecha Battle Zone and a Soul Master Battle Zone. The Soul Master who signed up for both competitions would be assigned a staggered time accordingly by the system. At present, one was allowed to experience a walkthrough of both competition areas. He could enter the area to familiarize himself with the competition surroundings, but it came at a cost. He would need to pay using Federation coins. I have to spend money on this. Tang Wulin immediately widened his eyes, for he was a frugal person. This was outrageous. Furthermore, it was not cheap. 2,000 Federation coins were charged for the use of the battle room in the Mecha Zone, while 1,000 Federation coins were charged for the battle room in the Soul Master Zone. With one entry, he could only engage in one battle. Why don't you just go and rob someone? Tang Wulin had an outraged expression on his face. You can't get money this fast even if you were to go robbing. At this moment, a voice was heard by his side. He turned his head to the side and found someone next to him, to his surprise. Everyone's appearance was altered to a certain degree upon entering this place. Everyone wore a white mask which concealed their appearances while they were dressed in ordinary grey outfits. The person's nickname floated above his or her head. He was facing a person with the nickname, Between 46. What a weird name. Even when they're in their coffins, they are still begging for money. Tang Wulin heaved a sigh. Between 46 nodded in agreement. So, are you planning to give it a try? Tang Wulin spoke slightly frustrated. I'll need to experience it anyhow. Problem is I don't know how to transfer Federation coins to this place. Before his voice had even died down, the artificial intelligence immediately revealed its powerful ability. A screen flashed past his eyes and the electronic voice was heard in his ears soon after. Would you like to charge it to your account? Tang Wulin could not help gnashing his teeth in anger. The Federation managed to do a good job in this respect. Yes. Charge 10,000 Federation coins to my account first. Tang Wulin gritted his teeth and endured the pain of charging 10,000 coins to his Federation card, which he used for his savings. When the transaction was completed, he noticed a row of numbers at the lower left corner of his vision. The number was precisely 10,000. Shall we give it a try? Between 46 seemed to have completed his payment as well when he issued an invitation to Tang Wulin. Between 46 is inviting you for a sparring session. Please pay 1,000 Federation coins to enter the battle room. Tang Wulin clicked accept, since it was a walkthrough experience. Two streams of radiance descended from the sky and shone upon both of them at once. The vision before their eyes turned blurry and they changed to a different location in the next moment. It felt identical to a real stadium. The built-up area was, in fact, even larger. The enormous competition stage with a diameter that exceeded 300 meters was truly majestic and domineering. It had ample space for them to express themselves. There were innumerable seats in the stadium's surroundings. Of course, no one was watching them. 3, 2, 1, begin. The electronic voice was clear and direct. They were not given any time for preparation. They appeared on each side of the stage with a distance of 100 meters between them. Then, the countdown began and the battle commenced. Tang Wulin looked toward between 4-6 just as his opponent was looking right back at him. In the next moment, both of them charged toward each other simultaneously. Both of them did not unleash their martial souls yet. Tang Wulin had walked forward with great strides while between 4-6 breathed steadily. The distance of 100 meters was closed in an instant. They unleashed their martial souls in unison when they were about 20 meters away from each other. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.